FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and, well, they say if you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it's true. Is that really true? Is that what's happening now in the U.S.? I think the lies, people are so sick of them, and you've had enough of them. You just don't believe anything the government's telling you, and the particular parties. I think the lies have lost their power. The key is having your antennas up so that when you receive the lie, you know it, and then you can discard it. Well, we see this with the impeachment imbroglio that's taking place now, that ridiculousness, which hopefully will be out of our misery shortly. Here, our good friend James Hirsen is with us now. He's a writer, lawyer, lives in Hollywood, in LA, in the area. And James, it's great to have you back. So the big lie in impeachment, now the latest one is, if only we had John Bolton, because he knows the truth. I think they're being set up again here, James. I don't believe that Bolton wrote this. I think this was a honeypot to suck out those deep state agents in the White House. And it worked, because when we look back on the 17th of January, a certain party, Mr. Peake, Andrew Peake, was ejected from the White House due to a security concern. It very well could have been this book.
Oh, it could have been, and look, the important thing is we've seen this kind of political theater, and the whole script of the political theater constitutes the big lie. But we've seen it before. We saw it with the Kavanagh hearings, where all of a sudden these last-minute witnesses came in to try to change the equation. And as you may well recall, the Democrats whining, going out to the press every day, and the press basically setting up an echo chamber, repeating the big lies of the Democrat Party at that time, forced the White House and the Republicans to relent to a week-long delay in the ultimate confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, so that an FBI investigation could be conducted. And when it was through the week-long investigation, what did the Democrats do? They said it was a sham. It was insufficient. Mm-hmm. So I will submit to you, at the end of this political theater, when President Trump is exonerated and acquitted, which he will be, the Democrats, no matter what happens, no matter if there are 500 witnesses and this proceeding lasts until October, it does not matter. The Democrats will say that the Republican Senate was covering up for this guilty president. That's what they're going to do. And I hate to see, and I'm praying actually, that, this cadre of RINO Republicans do not succeed in letting in more witnesses, particularly John Bolton. I think that's going to go nowhere. That's a head fake. I would like to just see this thing end. I mean, it was my view that when Nancy Pelosi withheld the articles of impeachment and started trying to reach in and change the Senate rules, she had breached her constitutional duty. And I thought Mitch McConnell should have gone in there and nullified the impeachment and had a vote right then and not even bother with the arguments. But now that we've had the legal arguments, in the very first hour of the legal arguments, the entire case of the House managers was completely in tatters, demolished. And all we're doing is going through the motions, kabuki theater, whatever we're doing. And, hopefully the American people will put pressure on people like Susan Collins and Mitt Romney and Lamar Alexander and Lisa Murkowski and Cory Gardner and all these other rhinos to make sure that the Democrats don't get 4 of them to vote for witnesses. But now the Democrat leaders are saying, we want Bolton and Mick Mulvaney.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, they should have Michael Bolton instead of John Bolton. I would like to see
more
Michael
entertaining.
Bolton take a stand and have him sing.
Hey,
but the fact is, they want Mulvaney and Bolton, but they refuse to allow the president to call a witness. That's their position right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if I just can't imagine that people like, I mean, it would just show any Republican senator that would vote yes for a motion to bring in only the Democrat witnesses, that Republican senator should be recalled. I mean,
traitor.
And definitely should be primaried. I mean, that is just, but that's the way, Romney,
that's the way they roll.
That's the way grudgy Romney is talking.
Yeah.
And it is the way they roll. But everybody's focused on those people. And I've recently looked at the Democrats who are likely to vote for acquittal at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And there's three of them. There's Kristen Sinema from Arizona, Doug Jones from Alabama, and Joe Manchin from West Virginia. I say right now, one or more of those three are going to vote for acquittal, and the Republicans are going to be able to say, when all the dust settles, there was a bipartisan acquittal to a solely partisan impeachment vote in the House. There wasn't a single Republican who voted for either the impeachment inquiry of the Star Chamber kangaroo court that they did, or the articles of impeachment. And so, that's going to be something that the president will trump, and no pun intended, using his Twitter account, using rallies. He will trumpet it, and it's going to happen eventually. Oh. That's where we're headed. Everybody knows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The math.
For sure. Well, my question is this, James. Where is Michael Avenatti when you really need him? Now, look, I've been a lawyer for decades now, and that guy, from the get-go, was a snake oil salesman. He was lying through his teeth. You didn't have to be a psychic or you didn't need a polygraph to know this. This guy was the sleaziest, most disgusting individual. I mean, Tucker Carlson even nicknamed him the creepy porn lawyer, and he was creepy. Right. He was cringy. And yet, the far left Democrats, media, but I repeat myself, they believe that everyone tells the truth until you catch them in an outright lie or until they're led away in handcuffs for stealing their clients' money. It's the same way they treat candidates in the election. Everybody, no matter how whacked out their beliefs are, no matter how insane their ideology is, everybody is treated as if they're a viable candidate, even though they're a joke.
No, you're exactly right. And we have in the corner of the junkyard a pile of former bombshells, right?
Yeah,
we have the Billy Bush, the tape where that was a bombshell. We have the Omarosa reveal. And where is she today? Gone. Mm-hmm. We have Stormy Daniels. We have Michael Avenatti. And Michael Cohen. Cohen, what a bombshell. He's got tape. He's gone. They're all lying in this pile where John Bolton is soon to be in. Michael Wolff, another one, he wrote a book.
Right.
He interviewed Steve Bannon. He had a whole bunch of, it was a bombshell. And so the key thing to remember about the John Bolton situation is that the New York Times reporter who broke that story is a specialist in fake news and was forced to admit that reporter never got possession of the Bolton manuscript, never read a word, didn't talk to Bolton, didn't talk to the publisher, talked to some anonymous source who says that they think that Bolton may have this in his book. This is shoddy, rotten reporting that the New York Times is now engaged in and no longer the paper of record. So the chances are that it's fake. It's a head fake. It's fake news. It's meant to try in the moment to make the normally weak-kneed RINO Republican senators a little more weak-kneed so that they will open the door to a Hail Mary pass by the Democrats to bring in some other witnesses. I know people who know John Bolton, and they don't believe it. They think, I personally don't agree with John Bolton's foreign policy. He's in a wing of conservatives that, he's being called, Tucker really hates him, calls him a warmonger, and lots of people do. But John Bolton has been very solidly conservative, right of center on every other issue other than foreign policy, and been beaten up for it his whole career.
Yeah. Now they love him. Now they love him. They can't get enough of him. He's a hero.
Now they love him. That's right. But sure. I do not believe that John Bolton's book has the kind of language that was in this story. As a matter of fact, it's possible that if they get John Bolton in there, that it's going to backfire on the Democrats, because what he may do, he knows things about, one of the key elements in the transcript of the president and President Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is that President Trump talked about the corruption in Ukraine. Take a look at the corruption. Now, if the Bidens are part of that corruption, that is a purely legitimate argument. Actually, the president's doing his job pursuant to international law, to a treaty that's been between these two countries that's been signed. I believe it was signed by Bill Clinton,
right.
That we're obligated to investigate corruption in Ukraine. And so what the media is trying to do to obfuscate that and to ignore that connection is that every time Hunter Biden's millions for a job he wasn't qualified for when Joe Biden was the point man of the Obama administration on Ukraine, every time it's brought up, they say, the false narrative, it's been debunked. It's a conspiracy theory. Those are the three lines they say. But the fact is, and it was done very well by Pam Bondi, one of the defense lawyers for the president, there's a solid case there, and there's a connection, there's a nexus between general corruption that has existed in the Ukraine and the Bidens, which may spill over and affect Nancy Pelosi's son, Mitt Romney's son, John Kerry's son, all kinds of people that may have profited from taxpayer money that went and got laundered through the Ukraine. So Bolton can be asked questions on those subjects, and that it would help exonerate the president, and that would backfire against the Democrats. And I if they get him in there,
that's what's going to happen.
That's going to be asked.
This was a setup. Look, the whole impeachment thing, the whole call about the Ukraine, I'm convinced was a setup by Trump. It was a Trojan horse that he gave to his enemies there to help destroy them.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Silver One Resources is an exploration and development company backed by strategic investors Eric Sprott and SSR Mining. The company is focused on its Candelaria mine project in Nevada, where there is already a historic resource estimated at 127 million ounces of silver. The Candelaria mine historically was the highest grade silver producer in Nevada, generating over 68 million ounces of silver at an amazing average production rate of over 1,250 grams per ton. The project has tremendous expansion potential as past drilling has outlined deeper, high-grade silver targets for future drill programs. Silver One is highly leveraged to the price of silver and is cashed up and poised to increase shareholder value. Silver One trades in New York under the ticker SLVRF and in Toronto under the ticker SVE. To learn more, go to silverone.com. That's silverone.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
You're absolutely right. And the origin of the Ukraine hoax, much like the origin of the Russian hoax that we're hearing more and more details about, the origin of the Ukraine hoax bears directly on the Senate vote. And therefore, Adam Schiff is a fact witness.
Yep.
The so-called whistleblower, who you can't say is the name, Eric Ciaramella,
Eric CIA.
is a fact witness. And there are reports that say that Eric Ciaramella was in meetings during the Obama administration, very concerned about the Biden corruption, very concerned about Hunter Biden and the money he was getting. And this is a guy who worked with Biden. And so actually, for me, they keep talking about, bringing in Hunter Biden. If there's going to be a witness swap, the first witness, I believe, should be Adam Schiff, the man who claims he didn't have contact with the whistleblower or his staff did not have contact with the whistleblower, then forced to reverse himself, the man who fabricated the conversation the president had during a proceeding, during a hearing. He fabricated the dialogue, and then after the president released the actual transcript, was forced to say that it was a parody, which is really, lame. But in any case, you don't do parodies at intelligence hearings. Give me a break. But in any case, Adam Schiff, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth. I want to see him on the witness stand. And Kerry, you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
Adam Schiff under cross-examination will wilt.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have the ability to withstand a skilled cross-examiner. And, it shows this guy, I don't know how he was a U.S. attorney, because every U.S. attorney I know is a great trial lawyer. And trial lawyers know the last thing you want to do is alienate even one juror during jury selection, during any time the jury pool has their eyes on you as a trial lawyer. You do not want anything to turn them away from you. And Schiff and Nadler actually, playing to the camera, of course, completely insulted and alienated their jurors. As a matter of fact, Nadler he pointed the finger at the Republicans in the Senate and said, "You're on trial." Can you imagine going to a courtroom and tell the jury they're on trial? Your client just lost.
For sure. I mean, Jerry Nadler, he's just a perfect example of what happens with failed bariatric surgery. I always said he was more charming. I thought he was a lot more charming before he had the surgery,
Yeah, I don't know. They had to have a pretty big staple to handle that guy. But
big stapler.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. I mean, I'm happy for him. That he had his bariatric surgery, and also that he was able to wear his pants a little bit lower than he used to. It was like up to his neck.
Yeah, just a little.
That's better. But at the end of the day, the American people, and of all stripes, just look at this as a waste of money, a waste of time. And they know what Democrats are doing, because Democrats are so obvious, moving from one accusation, one investigation to another, one bombshell to another, and just never being able to come to grips with the results of the 2016 election and trying desperately to alter what they see coming like a truck toward them, which was the results of the 2020 election. And just as they always talk about our democracy, they say over and over again, our democracy. They're doing everything they can to destroy our democracy.
Yes. Yep. You're correct. I can't argue with you there. That's for sure. Pretty disgusting state of affairs, but that's where we find ourselves. But once again, it's going to be like the Wile E. Coyote with the chasing the Roadrunner, where the picture of the tunnel is painted up on the rock wall, and Wile E. Coyote makes a turn and crashes right into it. And that's what's going to happen here, James. So you could just see this. It's so obvious.
Well, I guess that's one of the big vulnerabilities that we see on the left is that they overplay their hand.
Always.
And they don't have a hand to overplay. Yeah. They've got nothing. They have no hand, but they still overplay. And to use that analogy, they're going to lose all their chips.
Yeah, well.
And it would be good for this country that they do. But
yeah.
But the only problem is if they get their way and these other witnesses come in, this thing is going to last till May or June, and we're going to have this looming over the country, harming America. And it just proves that these leaders in the current Democrat Party just give a whit. They care not.
They could care less.
For this country, its citizens, their constituents. They care only about their own personal power. And I mean, there's some Republicans like that, but it's very clear that Donald Trump is not like that because he's taking hits. He's losing real wealth. He is foregoing his salary. He is living with, a stress level that is inhuman, and he's doing it for things he believes in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And, to take that gambling analogy a little further, the Democrats, regardless what their hand, they always play it like it's a royal flush. And in this case, they don't even have a pair of deuces, And when you always bluff, you will get called. And when you're called, you're going to lose and be humiliated. And that is what is going to happen to them now. Actually, they don't even have a pair. They've got, 6-5, a 7-6-4-3 ace or something, They have whatever is the lowest hand, a Razgoo.
The one thing, that I don't understand about John Bolton, when it comes, is here's a guy who always believed in presidential power, always believed in the executive privilege and the confidentiality of the president's closest advisor. So I question what, the reports that he was willing to testify.
Yeah.
And if he was willing to testify, then the question comes, when we know the answer, why didn't Schiff or Nadler call him? They didn't call him because they knew it would take longer, because executive privilege would be exerted, because they didn't want to go to court, which is the proper forum to litigate executive privilege. They didn't want to go there because they had this Christmas goal. And so they didn't call Bolton. Now they want the Senate to call him, but the executive privilege argument is still there to be made. That's why this is going to last so long, because I think it's likely to get litigated, and who knows how that will come out. And then John Roberts is sitting there conducting the impeachment trial. How can he then be sitting on the Supreme Court to decide if it goes up there on executive privilege? There's all kinds of thorny stuff going on. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
Oh, it's going to be fun to watch for sure. But we're positive of the eventual outcome, which will be the exoneration of Trump. There's no question about it. It's going to happen.
Well, it's like they need to remove Trump. It's simple math. They need 67 senators.
Yeah.
That would mean that 20 Republican senators would have to go sideways and vote with the Democrats. And no matter how you can take a list, you cannot. You can pick every RINO and potential RINO in the Senate. You cannot come up with 20.
No.
You maybe can come up with 7 or 8. And so it's math. And the president will win this. They just want to scuff him up on the way. The Democrats want to scuff him up, and they want their boy Joe Biden to be protected, because it's very clear. Isn't it amazing, Kerry, to see the way the media and all of a sudden people like Hillary Clinton, we're hearing reports on Barack Obama, they're all turning against Bernie Sanders as he's surging, because the establishment Democrats have chosen their guy. And that's why this impeachment happened, because they chose Joe Biden and they're trying to protect him from his own record.
Yeah, and themselves too, because they were all thick as thieves here. Let's face it. We know this for a fact. Totally corrupt party, but both parties totally corrupt. By no means do the Democrats have a monopoly on corruption. We know that for sure. So anyway, James, find him, jameshirsen.com. And it's always great to have you on. There's a link in the show notes to James' site. Visit our site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter, Twitter feed at Kerry Lutz. Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. James, we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks.
All right. Sounds great, Kerry. Thank you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.